Well, hello, welcome to Drawing with Fire. I'm Valarie, your neighborhood pyrography artist. Join with hubby.
Okay.
And fur babies. Hopefully they will stay quiet. And today we were working on the final details. Now it's time to start detailing, like really detailing it out, getting our darks in the right place, getting everything angled just the way we like it. Everything's blocked in. So what we're going to start with first is we are going to erase as much graphite as we can. I tend to make sure I spend time around the edges because that's where you can really pick up the graphite lines if you don't pay attention and erase. And then we're going to follow that with using denatured alcohol to wipe down. So I always do this after I've got everything blocked in. This way I know how the lights look because the denatured alcohol is going to slightly tint the wood, which is completely normal. Anytime wood gets wet, it goes darker, and this includes when you are varnishing. So if you have a problem with what you feel looks like your lights are disappearing, they're not disappearing. The wood has darkened up to the same level as that burn, and that's why you don't see it. Completely natural. Get rid of all this. There we go. Clean everything off. I had it propped up. That way I don't have to have the camera down so far. And go over it one more time. And this just gets all the graphite and any smears or any burns just sitting on top. That if you brush varnish without a protective layer, if you notice that some of the burning seems to smear, that's because the burn is sitting on top of the wood, the carbon, and you're smearing that into the piece. So by doing this, we're cleaning it up, making sure we got everything. I think I hit everything pretty good. If you're using carbon paper, which is black transfer paper, it is not going to come off as well. The denatured alcohol might help a little bit, but steer clear of the black stuff, of the black transfer paper. So I'm using denatured alcohol, which is also methylated spirits, right? I always forget.
I think so.
In other countries. You could use the really strong acetone if you don't have access to methylated spirit, to denatured alcohol. You can get it at your home store, Walmart. I'm just going to dip a little bit, squeeze some off. Remember, this stuff is very strong smelling. It's used for fuel and camping equipment, lanterns or what have you. Shh. Come on. Just don't be cranky. Alright. So I only dip a little bit. No. I only dip a little bit. I don't want it soaking wet. This is pretty wet. Just let it evaporate, that's the word. A little bit. See, you can get, it's hard to see, but right there, the brown, that is carbon lifting off the wood, which is totally natural. Again, it's just what's sitting on top. But now we can see where we thought it was darker, that lightened up a little bit, so I need to darken that. But you can see where things should be a little darker or lighter, and that's because right here we can see, boom, the wood darkens. This is the best way to test if your burn is dark enough so that your light burn doesn't push back into the wood color, or they don't equalize each other. Over here was some graphite I couldn't get out, so I'm gonna wipe it pretty good. Plus this gets any oil from your hands off, and you'll feel a difference, a slight difference in the burning, and that's because the wood's clean. Because when you do a bunch of erasing, you also leave the residue of the eraser, kind of leaves a layer on top of the wood. And so if you find that you've been burning along with no problem, but now you seem to have to turn it up higher than you normally do, that could be one of the issues. But you should feel a pretty good difference over burning. Feel it in your hand. At least that's where I feel it. Alright, let this dry for a minute. Hey Spence! What brand is the eraser? That's the Vanish 4-in-1. But hey! That's the Vanish 4-in-1. But you can use any white eraser. I just prefer that one. You know the wood is dry when it's no longer cool to the touch. So we're going to give it a second to... And you can also see how the burn changes. Now on paper, the denatured alcohol is not going to work. Or I have not tested it, so I wouldn't recommend it. Hey David, for paper burns. But the Vanish 4-in-1 eraser, absolutely on paper. And I have it in my Amazon store link down in the description. Alright. It doesn't feel cool. So we are good to go. And we can see how the color changed. I am going to start with the 18 extra small, because with the Optima 18 extra small I can get a dark burn with a lower heat setting, so it keeps my hand cooler. We're going to quickly move the Raven, put this here. I'm going to use the strop to clean off real quick. It is clean. I cleaned it before the live. But remember, rub your nail. See if you feel any carbon. Discoloration is oxide. Oxide is stronger than the carbon, and you want oxide, that discoloration, on your tip. You do not want your tip to be, mine's shiny, but that's how these tips are made. You don't want to take this oxide layer off because it helps remove the carbon when you wipe off. The white on my strop is aluminum oxide. I prefer the powder. I got this at Mountain Woodcarvers, and I will never have to buy another one, because this is still a lot on the strop for what we're doing. I think it's been over a year since I've put any on. Do a couple of swipes, swipe off in a clean area, rub your finger, should be all good to go, and that's all it takes. No sandpaper. Never use the other side of the strop to clean your tips, because these strops are used for also sharpening knives and what have you, so that's why they have the other side. If things are tight and you've got an old belt laying around, you can make your own strop. If your old belt is an actual leather belt, you can glue it down to a piece of wood, and then you've got your own cleaning strop. And you didn't have to spend any money. I didn't expect to bring that out, but it is what it is. Alright, I'm going to start at 2.5 with the 18 small. I know this is all clean. And we are going to start darkening. See how it changes depending on how the light hits? So you got to take that into consideration as well, which is why the denatured alcohol actually helps to show you what level your lights are at. I'm going to get us in here a little closer. I gotta remember I'm like, got my zoom in a little bit. So this is at 2.5, and it will burn darker. So what I'm gonna do is start shaping feathers. So even though I'm only on 2.5, because of how this pin is made, it burns darker at a lower setting, which makes it a very useful pin, because then you can just switch over to this and still keep your heat settings lower. And what we're going to do is we are going to start shaping this head. I might actually up the heat just a little bit. And this is where it really does become more artistic, because you can make the choices as to what you want to stand out more. If you like a feather grouping a lot, you like how it came out, you can make it stand out more. Why not? I would make sure that you're balanced and you do it for other pieces, other areas. Now remember, the grain always burns darker. I'm going to actually bump up to 3 just so I can move faster for everybody. You see, even at 3, I'm just running the tip flat so I can get the whole area. If I want more detail, more like hair strokes, I can go back in with the small, because this tip is a little thicker than the small in regards to the edge. Make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. It may be hard to tell that I am darkening until I get more in there. Let's see here. This is up here. So we're going to start shaping. And I can just run just on top of the strokes, back and forth, to start darkening them without losing shape. Or I can create more shape. We can already see that section got darker. I don't think that's going to be dark enough not to lose when I'll wipe down again with the denatured alcohol. But it definitely burns easier now that we've wiped it down. Let's see, let's darken this one up. I'm going to think of this as hair. And give it some shape. As long as I keep moving pretty quickly, in general, hopefully it should stay even. Now remember, these are coming down and in a little bit, so this area right down here is darker, which separates from on top of the wing. Let's see, do I need to, is my hand in the way? Do I need to like angle the camera?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay. Or I can move over, I guess. Somebody's a little cranky this morning.
If they keep it up,
Alright. If we want to see more of this, I do need to work on the beak some more. Now with this pen, it can be easier to feel the grain. I don't know why, especially since it's thicker, but it can be. Darkening up this more. And I'm going to go over this light spot because I can always lighten it up with white. There's a ridge where the beak kind of comes in, and that's what I'm trying to capture. I've gone back and forth many times. Anytime I darken up an area, I've ended up back here. Trying to shape it. And you can see the light changes. Oops. With this, I'm going to go with the grain just so the pen runs smoother, because the heat does raise the grain, so I need to keep that in mind. It's not that I'm doing anything wrong, it just that's how the wood reacts. Darken this up. And start making some artistic choices. What do I want to stand out? And what do I feel isn't necessarily as important? Information-wise. So I'm just running over things really quick. And I can always add whites back in, so I think it's okay to go ahead and blend some of these areas a little darker. Just so it's not so obvious. I can soften it up. See, just by darkening that up a little bit, we have a little better shape. Let's see. I'm not liking how this line sits. Feels too separated, or separating. My tip grabbed the grain right there, but I'm okay with that. Right now I'm flat. Just trying to make this beak look like it's at an angle. But as we look at the beak, we can definitely tell that it's not all one color, all one tonal value. So in fact, I need to darken these light areas. And based on what I'm doing, I could still do that with the 18 small. I was just trying to speed up so we can see some differences, since this is the last time this will be alive. Is he chewing on a bone or my chair?
It's your chair. Stop. Shh, stop.
If it's just the metal ring, I don't care.
She's chewing on a wheel.
Oh. No, we don't want to do that to the wheel.
She's not damaging it, but It's loud.
Just, I'll come back and darken more once I darken other areas, because then I'll be able to see how it needs to adjust. Everything plays off of everything else. And so like these darks right here tell me I need to darken up around here. Even though it's a black bird in the scheme of things, doesn't mean we burn it all black, because then it's just a silhouette. Alright, let's see here. I'm gonna go, I think, start separating out the beard. So right now I'm kind of curving to the right using the right leg. I'm getting some more darks within the beard. And there is some separation to there down there. So I'm going to have to decide how I want to separate it. Again, if it's not exact, that's totally okay. So I'm just flat, and I'm intentionally picking up to allow that half a second reheat or recovery of heat. So it's just a little darker when I touch down. And because we do have some darks in here, I'm less likely to get that dreaded blob. Let's see here. We have a separation of feathers here. I need to get in there. There's really not too many like whites. So I'm just going to run flat. I can get up on the edge just to change some direction. Anything that's under something else is going to be darker. So this feather right here on the chest, it's going to be darker, and then down at the bottom of that feather.
Pearl has a question.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to carve anything out on this one?
Not on this one, no. This one's just the flat burning. I was thinking about burning it again, but adding some carving. That's going to be a members thing. I just wanted to do a straight public burn this time around. So I'm just dragging and darkening. See, the more I go, the darker it'll keep going. It still needs to go much darker, especially looking here. You can see how we shape things with our darks. In fact, I can also, I'm going to go ahead and go up to 3.5 for these body feathers. You can see how much that half made a difference. Drag this down. You can really start seeing that was just half a step on adjusting the heat for this pen. It really makes a difference. which is why I like this one so much for darkening areas. So burning underneath lifts these top feathers up a bit, but then I do need to tone them a little bit so that they make sense. Let's see here. I'm going to angle it so hopefully you can see a little bit better, because for me, I'm having a hard time with the glare. Everything looks lighter. So I'm going to turn it. Plus it makes it easier to drag into the darks. Just work on darkening. Shaping. That's really what the final details is about, is bringing it all together. We've got it all blocked in so we can see what it's looking like, and now it's time to make those artistic choices, because in general everything's in its place, so we just need to go along and darken some of it. So right now I'm top half just running pretty quickly over some areas. Darken and smooth some areas, add texture to other areas. But we can see how darkening makes that difference. And remember, just like with hair, these feathers come out from a base where it's darker, they curve around to be a little lighter, and then they curve back down and they're darker at the bottom of the curve, just like how they started, and that's what gives us the roundness feel. So we want to do that for some of them. Oh, that went crazy. So we're going to darken the whole thing out. Bring some of that together. I feel like because of these this line here, and then one of the other lines, like it's too what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
I'm not sure.
Same, matchy, similar, yeah, similar works. Sometimes your brain's like, no, not gonna do it. So I can go back and darken. I won't wipe down again with the denatured alcohol until I've like gone over the whole area, and I'm still checking to see if it needs to go darker. And then when I go to varnish this, I will first spray it with Fine Art Fixative. That's used for dry media like pencils and pastels and colored pencils. I'll spray that first because it's also got a UV protectant in it. I'll pull it on screen by the end of the live so you can see. I just want to keep darkening these feathers. And then once I do a couple of coats of that, and I found that doesn't really darken the wood too much, which is another reason I use it, because it helps keep the varnish from darkening the wood too much. You know, people complain about that. This is basswood. I have it linked down in the description where I buy it from. And I've never gotten a bad piece of basswood from Armand. In fact, in the notes, I just let him know, hey, gonna be using it for pyrography, and he makes sure to pick out his best pieces, so you can leave the same note, and he will make sure to grab his most even pieces of basswood. So we can see based here how much I've darkened, and I know it doesn't look like a lot, but we'll have to keep going. Let's see this. Let's go dynamic. Let's get these darks in. It can be so hard to really darken up because you've done all that work and you're so worried. I promise these darks are worth it. And to be honest, I think it's best to wait till the end to put the biggest darks in, so that you can adjust just like I'm doing here. So if I was going to add color to this, I would have not added any color yet until I got it all completely burned. So anyway, once sprayed with the workable fixative for a couple of layers, make sure my whites are still good. And that's another thing with I'll grab it now. My hand needs a break anyway. This is the fixative I use, and it also allows the whites to not dissolve, which is another reason I use it. So I'll do 2 coats on this. The wood stays pretty close to what you're seeing raw. I mean, it darkens slightly, but not crazy. And then once those are dry, and then I do gloss varnish. I use specifically Liquitex. It's archival. It's permanent, and it's also it has its own UV protection in it as well. I use gloss because gloss makes the burning stand out better and makes it more rich, deeper in color, which is exactly what I want. We worked hard on this. We want all the different tones to stand out. And the Liquitex is self-leveling, so you don't see all the brush marks. Dries pretty quick. And like with regular wood varnish, it tells you what, up to 4 layers on the polyurethane or polyacrylic. But with the Liquitex, you can actually do more layers to get more of a resin type finish. I've gotten up to and done up to 7 layers.
It's nice because it's like mini finishes when you brush it on, and it's self-leveling.
Yeah.
So if you've got brush marks, it'll self-level, and as long as you don't put it on too thin, it'll level out to smooth sheen. And it finishes up really nicely.
It does. You use it on your paintings.
They do.
And I use it on my burnings.
The only thing is, like paintings or burnings, like once you put that on,
It ain't coming off.
you're done.
Yeah, you're done. It's permanent. You're not. I'm sure it can be removed with special chemicals, but Liquitex does have another type that is removable. Just darkening up. I'm still on 3.5. Right now I'm just pulling flat to tone all the area. And one thing's to overlap and look like it's turning. Like here, we'll darken these up. So flat. I want to bring the shadow out softer. So I will go right up against it and do some oval stroke to soften it out because it's darkening up the area. We can definitely see how much more it needs to darken. So I'm at 3.5 and my hand is comfortable. When I said I needed to give my hand a break, it's because I grip so tight. I always have. So my hand starts going numb. And I have to remind myself to push down on the soft part of my hand on the side and just relax my hand. Pen's not going anywhere. Let's see here. I need to section these off. So more up on the tip and just kind of dragging down. Do need to be careful because, like I said, the grain will grab this tip a little bit more. But the more flat you are, the less likely that is to happen. I need to fix this. This is coming too far over the wing. You see, I got some pretty good darks in there. But I need it to kind of separate within the dark so we can tell there's a feather in there. We just really can't see that feather. So that's just the top half of the tip. Already are in a dark area and we can see how much darker that burned. I really do like this pen just for darkening quickly because it does it so well. So for this piece, I have not gone over 3.5. Which means also less carbon built up on the tip because I'm not burning so hot that we're charring the wood. I personally don't like the charred look. I know that's definitely a personal preference. I don't care for it for my work. Even with a dark background, I don't like it to look charred. Which is why I don't use I'll use the hot air, but not a hot flame on the wood. I don't like that charred look. Not for my work. If you like it, so I got a blob right there, so I need to darken some area.
Looks like the buffering stopped.
Alrighty. Sorry about the buffering. I know on replay it's gonna just come straight back to us. It's gonna take about 15 seconds to come back to you guys in the live chat. So sorry about that. Last few weeks we've been having internet problems. Looks like it's time to get them back out here and figure out what's going on. It's like once a year. Normally it's in the spring though.
I have to go out today. Do you want me to take the water?
We could do that. Maybe we need a new one. Alright, just trying. See, I am seeing some dots for an owl feather. That would be great. I'll go back with the edge of my 18S and fix that, but I do feel like I need some of these areas darker. Right now I'm just flat going over the beard, trying to get some separation, some shape. I want you guys to see the difference. It will still need more work. I won't finish it on the live. This is what I will be doing to get it finished. Because I will keep going back and forth until I'm happy with that tonal value. Remember, it's a little lighter on camera because of my lights and my setup, but in person it is a little bit darker. So I do see some areas I'm going to have to clean up with the 18 small, but I'm not worried about it. I do need to define some more of these feathers. It's definitely frustrating about it, the buffering. We pay too much money for buffer. I meant to warn everybody at the beginning of the live because I'm going to move back up to where I can flat and drag, flat and drag. And I am going up into the beak because the bottom part of the beak right here is super dark. So I can start my stroke down there and then blend it out into the beard. See, as I do that stroke, it's upside down C, we really start seeing shapes to feathers. We get the curve. That's what we want. Now up here we've got our lighter areas, but I did want to straighten this out. I put quite a curve on these feathers, beak feathers. So I need to do some straight line shading to kind of straighten them out at the end. And I'll leave some lighter areas. Those are highlights. I won't even have to put white because that'll stay lighter. Straighten it out, and you can really see how just a few light strands can really make it look highlighted. Curve up a little bit. But I'll come back with the 18 on the edge if I need to make like new strokes. Within the feathers. Let's see here. Drag this back. And just barely tapping in. Now I need some darker, unruly feathers. Some on my edge tip. I'm not going to put all of them in, and I can always end with the 18 small to thin them out so that they look thinner. Drag quickly just to darken these a little bit. I'm not trying to hit every single section because they are lighter.
Is everybody still here?
Can you guys type in the chat?
It says I've been watching.
Okay.
It
Says that we're reconnected in the chat.
Because the stream completely shut down for a little bit on the tablet over here.
Shut down?
Yeah.
Or just buffered?
Just buffered, but then
Oh, okay.
acted like it completely disconnected for a second.
Luckily on a replay, it'll just skip the, to when it comes back. They don't have to sit and wait. So luckily I don't have to try to edit that out. It'll just be... I'm trying to darken in between these feathers so things go together. And I've darkened these under the eye from when we first did them. But because I put these darks around, you can see it still keeps these light.
Sheila says she's here.
Okay.
Spence does too.
Thank you. Yeah. So I'm just going to keep darkening. But to me, this is the funnest part because then I really get it to see it come alive and I can make my choices. Some of the other stuff can be quite tedious, I know. But if you have a good base, a good setup, when you get to this part, hopefully it's more enjoyable, it's more freeing. And that's why I'm big in talking about not fully finishing an area. so that you have room to adjust. Because things can go much darker than you first realize.
David says that we buffered twice.
Buffer twice.
Yeah, I only saw the one.
Yeah. Guess we need to go exchange the modem. Alright. So I will keep going back and forth in this way. That still needs to go much darker. Let's see here. Trying to look to see how much, because I think these lines don't make as much sense because it's not a longer body. So I'm going to try to break up that line and change just a little bit of the shape, just so it doesn't feel so harsh. And that's an artistic choice I'm making, mainly because we don't see the rest of the body, so maybe it doesn't read as well. So as the artist, we get to make that choice. Which is another way of just making it our own. I think I'm going to run over it with a small, hands numb.
Well, we're coming up on it.
Yeah, I was just going to pick one spot. Anyways, keep my temperature. But we can start working on any final questions. Next week is going to be with the members. You can become a member by clicking the join button down below or through Ko-fi, and then you get, once I know you're there, if you're on Facebook, you get to join the super secret Super Toasties. And that's where all of the member lives are linked. Plus you get all the patterns. There's quite a few patterns. Trying to think what else.
Spence says that the big thing he had to learn. He used to think it had to be the exact same as the picture. Now he's doing his own.
And it's very freeing, isn't it? I'm working on that as well. That's something I really need to work on. My brain sees it one way, so it wants it that way. And see, right now I'm still on the 3.5, but I've gone up to the 18 small, and we can see burning lighter. And that's just how the pins are made. Then I'll continue to work on this beak. And for over here, again, I can go up on the side where we've already burned and darkened and just do some more of these hair type strokes and use that to darken up. make sure to break up the strokes so they don't look so samey. Ow. That didn't feel good. I can also go up on the tip to darken in some areas. And where I don't burn, that creates a highlight. And see, with this pen, I can definitely get into smaller areas. And because I've been burning on such a low setting, I won't have any carbon buildup, which means I don't have to clean my tips as much, and in not cleaning my tips as much, they last longer. And I definitely want my tools to last. See, if I go more flat, it burns lighter. But the more I build it up, the more I'm trying to clean that up a little bit using the tip. I mean, it helps that they are feathers, so nothing is perfect. So like in here, I got a little crazy. Shape it, and then I really don't have any whites, so everything needs to be burned. It's just tonally balancing it out. This would be in shadow, so I'm going to darken it. I'm just up on the tip, just trying to darken up a little bit. Trying to get rid of we got a little bit of a line.
David Greenway says, that's one of the big draws. It takes a while for my mind to take over, but I love it when I see the shades and can let my hand just follow my mind and not look at any reference photo.
Yep. When you get to that point, you can almost breathe easier. At least I can. And I'll look at my reference to check tonal value, but I'm not looking for much more. I'll need to clean up this area down here. Alright, I know she needs to go darker, and that's okay. But what we are going to do is we are going to back out the camera. So that, can I go back? Or am I going to run over anybody?
No, you're going to run over. I can get them up and out though.
No, I'll just back it out like this. See how the color changed? And that's just because of how the camera is hitting. The light is hitting the wood and then bouncing into your eyes and the camera. But with this one, you can see how much darker it's already gone. And when I know it curled, again, this is 1/8 of an inch. I'm not even worried about the curl, because once I frame it, it'll completely go away. So I'm not even worried about it. Nothing to stress about. Let's see here. I'm trying to make sure I get it upright. And remember, by looking at it from a different perspective, we can see what needs to change. Like this still needs to go darker, but I'm not done. I think I do still want these feathers darker. Now what I'm going into right now is my critique of just the piece, not myself, the piece. I'm not looking at what I've done wrong or anything like that. I'm looking at what do I need to adjust so that I can call it finished. So I think I'm going to go darker with these feathers down here, because I do like how the beard is looking. So I want to separate and get more detail out of the beard. I do need to darken down here a bit more, right in here, and then blend out this line and curve it around, because if we look at the reference, it does curve a little bit, so I do want that curve. Let's see here. I've got the photo as close to where my bird is. I think I'm going to darken this off a little bit. Darken these feathers underneath a little bit. I know the photo shows lighter, but I think I want them darker. Let's see here. I do need to darken up, I think, the beak a bit more. Remember, I changed this and I changed the eye. I don't feel like the eye really needs anything. It'll get the white highlight right about here. And that'll just be a dot. I'll leave the rest alone. I don't think it needs any more than that. Maybe kind of push back some of these. It's not an eyelid. The ring around the eye, I'm not exactly sure what that's called. I think I need to darken a little bit, but not much. I think the main thing is going to be darkening to shape the beard. Finish darkening here. I'm liking how this looks, and even though it's burned, it looks shiny, and I like that. That's how we want our darks to come out. We want them to look shiny in this case. Trying to see what else. Yeah, I do need to shape this dark and bring it out a little bit. That goes down. That's good. That's fine. Not gonna worry about that. I do feel like I need to sharpen up the angle of the beak, I think. If that makes sense. Yep. So that's where I will post the finished piece on both. The Super Toasties will see it finished first. Sorry, I need a drink. I will look at, because I don't seal these right away. I tend to get like a stack of done pieces and seal them all at once. That way I've got a couple going.
Smith says looks good.
Thank you. But I do think I will do a quick short on varnishing this again. I'll finish darkening. I'll wipe this down one last time. If there's any whites to be put on, I'll put them on then. I'll spray about 2 coats following the directions of the Fine Art Fixative. I do have it on my Amazon page linked. Same with the Liquitex. This is an 8-ounce bottle, and I know it costs like $20. Don't quote me because prices change. But about $20. But I have sealed. You see here, when you buy the bottle, it's about to this line right here. I'm right here, and I have sealed like 3 pieces with 3 to 4 layers. It does not take a lot. It's just a couple of drops. Don't use a sponge brush, just follow the directions. And this bottle, in fact, I think they have a 4-ounce bottle if you want to buy it a little cheaper and test it out and see what you think of it. But it does not. I used a 16-ounce bottle on the 22 by 24 Raven Nebula, 7 layers. And that's a really big piece. 7 layers for a was it 16 ounce or was it the... No, it may have actually been this 8 ounce. And a little from another 8 ounce. But those were thick, big, like bigger than my board.
David has a question.
Mm-hmm.
Your opinion on Spectrafix Degas Fixative?
I have not used it. I haven't heard bad things about Spectrafix, but I have not used it.
I haven't either.
So I really... Yeah, I've heard of the brand. I just have not used it. If you're not having any problems with it, then go for it. You're burning mainly on paper, so you don't really have to do the Liquitex part. I would put a varnish on it, but you can spray varnish paper a whole lot easier. I do not spray varnish wood. You have a chance of getting bubbles, and that's a whole nother thing.
I would also say that any varnish that you use, make sure you test it if you're using multimedia. Like if you're using any kind of media over your burning, because some varnishes may interact with it and may actually lift that media out, or that might diffuse it and make it like super soft and it cause it to bleed.
Which is why I don't do a brush on varnish on paper.
Yeah.
I spray it because it's less like. That's the only time I use spray varnish is on paper.
So always test.
Yes.
Because you don't know what it's going to do, and then if you do know, then you know.
Yeah, because when watercolor or watercolor pencils get wet, they can reactivate, which is another reason if you're doing a burning and adding watercolor pencil or regular colored pencil, if you don't put a spray protective down, if you brush directly on it, you will smear your color, and I have done that.
I have to bid chat.
Okay.
Thanks for being with us today, chat. I gotta go. Anyway, thanks everybody.
Doggies are going to make a little bit noise, but we are finishing up, so that's okay. Oh, stretch. It was for burn, pan pastel, and colored pencil. Yep, it should be fine if you don't have a problem with it.
Okay.
I would just look at the next time you're buying a fixative, I'd go with this. This is what I've gotten the absolute best results. I've also grab used this as well, and it's been fine. But this whites will dissolve, which is why I switched over to this. Both of them work. but this doesn't dissolve the whites and lights, and it does have the UV light stabilizer and absorber. So that's why I switched to this from this. But if you've got a full bottle and you haven't had a problem, David, I'd just finish it. There's no reason to buy another one if you're not ready to. Alrighty. Whew. I don't know, members, what we are doing next week. We may need to bring the bear out. I need to be working on that too. And I'm trying to get other little projects, which is why I pulled out the car. I'll get that done this week. If we don't have any more questions, I hope this was helpful. And say it with me. Let me get there. You're awesome. You can do this. Why? Because you're a pyro artist. Happy burning, guys. Hi. Thanks for joining. If you're new, don't forget to hit subscribe. Hit the like button. Bye.